Hello everybody, welcome back for my week 2. So the first question was about my color of fitness and if I agree or disagree. My color was blue, and the short little blurb about it was conscientious, committed, and concerned with safety. They approach exercise dutifully and without internal debate. They're very tuned into their bodies, and correct form is essential, steady, and methodical. Blues prefer to focus on one thing at a time. They enjoy keeping track of their progress and take comfort in following programs that have been tested and proven effective. So I agree with most of what it said. I am very introspective. I keep to myself, and I like a quiet space in the gym. I like to just get into my own thing. I am very in tune with my body. I'm very physically sensitive, especially after a couple of injuries, weightlifting related. Once something feels weird, it's game over. So form is very important to me, and staying in tune with my body is. I do really prefer to have a professional give me advice and help me with the routine, and I tend to stick to it. I do disagree in the fact that, I would stick to it forever, because considering my degree and my job, my background in PT, I do really enjoy being creative and messing around with things. So that's one place where I disagree. The other place I disagree is, unfortunately, I'm not very good at being dutiful and consistent with exercise, like it said. I'm getting better, as you'll hear later, but I would not say that's a personality trait of mine. So the next question is if I have ever experienced burnout. I experienced a lot of burnout. I've experienced burnout multiple times, but probably the biggest one was after my senior year of high school. In high school, I was doing everything. I was the editor of the newspaper. I was head of if you ever watched Harry Potter, we had houses like that. I was the head of house, so basically a president of a quarter of our school. I was doing theater. I was still getting straight A's. There's a lot. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be outstanding in every area, and I did it very well. And I had a lot of friends, and I was very active in my friendships as well. So that was a lot to do. But I would say the pressure to do everything perfectly more than the amount to do was really the issue. So when I got into my first year of college, I didn't do anything. I did school, and I still did that well, but I was friends with very few people. I didn't do anything extracurricularly. It was great after high school, but that's just not me or what I necessarily enjoy. It was really what I needed, and it took me probably a full year to recover. But now I'd say that I have a little bit better of a balance between being super relaxed and doing nothing, and being super stressed and burnt out and doing everything. Some healthy ways to balance dedication to athletics or exercise while maintaining a broader sense of self. I came up with a couple. So the first one I came up with was having a community outside of sports. I'm sure when you're in a athletic community and everyone is thinking of you as an athlete, then you can only think of yourself as an athlete, and you can only behave like an athlete would behave. So having community outside of that thinks of you as, an artist or a Christian or a student or something else that's not an athlete would be incredibly helpful in developing a full sense of self. A pretty simple one would be having hobbies outside of sports, so that it doesn't consume your whole life and you remember that you are a full person outside of that. Would be helpful, and having a healthy attitude towards it. And then I think adding reflection and quiet time into your routine would be another really helpful thing. We don't get a lot of that now with our phones, honestly, and social media. We're basically always either on the go or in our phones, and we're not taking time to reflect within ourselves and think on our experiences, and in this case, reflect on yourself outside of sports. So I think that could really contribute. As far as my aspects of awareness, I would say my emotional awareness is my strongest one. I'm very emotionally aware, intelligent. I'm one of those people who can just walk into a room and kind of feel what everybody is feeling, which is a blessing and a curse, because it can be a big advantage in a social setting to know how everyone feels and know how you want them to feel. You can kind of get them there and be a well-liked person and kind of get what you want sometimes, which sounds bad, but that's not how I mean it. Since I'm so sensitive to my emotions and other people's emotions, though, I am not great at emotional control, and I definitely get bogged down with my emotions and other people's emotions, and I forget that action is really the important part that moves your life and not emotion. One that I'm not so good at is physical awareness. I'm just uncoordinated and clumsy, and it's hard for me to learn new movements with my body. And I also tend to just feel off and feel kind of wrong a lot of the times, and I'm not sure why. Like, it's a physical need that's not being met, and I'm not sure what. I'm not sure why that is. That could use some work. Last one. This is getting long, I apologize. But the last one is about motivation, what's currently motivating me. So there were a couple years of my life where I worked at a gym, and I was really big into weightlifting, and it was great. And after those couple years, I got so sick of gyms and weightlifting and everything to do with it, and I didn't step foot in one for probably a year. And I would just go on walks and do very chill forms of exercise, and I loved it. It was great. And then after that year was over, I'd say in the last 6 months, I got back to the gym, got back to weightlifting. I'm really loving it, but I had no motivation for it really, because I wasn't worried about bodybuilding. I didn't have anything to motivate me. And then I went to the doctor a couple months ago, and the doctor told me that my cholesterol levels were super high, and I might need to go on medication if I couldn't change them with diet and exercise. That is some motivation. That is some real motivation. It sucks that that's what it took for me to be motivated, but that is undoubtedly the best motivation for working I've ever gotten in my life, was that there could be real soon consequences to my health if I do not exercise regularly. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me this whole time.